glitches, just so you know, your cameras are on and you can be seen. So now we're live streaming to YouTube. Glitches, just so you know, your cameras are on. Diana, yeah, you need to mute or close. Now we're live streaming here. Double talk, just so you know, your cameras are on. Diana, yeah, you need to mute or close. Maybe live streaming. Diana, maybe.
So
Double talk, just so you know, your cameras are on.
all right, so we are live streaming. I'm not sure. Oh, here I'm doing the recording.
Why is Pretty Patel set?
Doing great.
Oh, she's not.
I think you can make me host again, Tiana, and then
I'm in the process of finding you.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Lord, all the members of Parliament, ladies and gentlemen.
And if everyone can mute themselves in the meantime, that would be.
That's it. Liberty, you're back host again.
So welcome everyone, good morning. Thank you for joining us for Wombs Without Borders. And we are gathered here today to tap into the wisdom of the womb and take it beyond borders, beyond our physicality, beyond just ourselves, really. And so if we can start with seeing where we are at. So if everyone can put in the chat box where you are from now and also where you're from by birth, so we can feel the hug of Mother Earth.
Yael, just so you know, the elders will be back from their breakout room in 20 seconds.
In 20 seconds, okay. So I'll start with giving some context, and as the womb teaches us and the elders remind us, nothing is created outside till it's created inside first. So I'll go into myself and I'll give you the context as I understand it, because in these circles we only speak of what we know through our lived experiences. And so this is what I've experienced. So Shalom, my other selves. I am Yael. I come from Israel. Israel is my motherland, where I lived most of my life. And I was a single mom, educator by day and TED translator, volunteer by night, when I saw a man in a video speaking about things I felt when I gave birth. Long story short, 2 years ago, the end of 2019, I came here with my 2 kids to Alaska, married him, and we're living together and working with elders and women and youth and children, the less heard voices in today's human world. And before I get into other things, what caught me was his people, the Unangan people or Eliud people, their daily greeting is Shalom, my other self, Angwan, which I translate not only as hello, but as Shalom, which I feel is what the womb really teaches me. And so when I heard him say it, I was just fascinated. And I think the womb teaches it not only with pregnancy, but also with the ability to sync with other cells, with other wombs. And when we're feeling connected, this synchronicity, this harmony happens. And one of the deepest connections I've ever felt was in Israel, when a woman came there and with her womb work, with her red tents, she brought together Arabs and Jews around that work. And that woman is Diana Lam, who is hosting this event with me, and we'll soon hear from her. So when Diana and I were talking about, we feel the time is ripe to really go beyond our usual work and start, as Diana says, speak this language of the womb that for me is not only my mother tongue, but really my mother nature tongue. We were thinking how to best do it. And as you know, our very initial existence is not the sperm, but the egg. Our feminine side already exists in the belly of our tiny mother, in the belly of our grandmother, when our mother was a fetus. That's where we all initially began. So we thought, let's bring grandmothers, let's bring elders, because what happens to me when I hear elders talk or meet is, for me, they're like masters of love. They're like acrobats or virtuoso musicians, and they just play with love. And at first I'm just going to watch and listen, but you don't. Even if you just watch and you just listen, this love of theirs just washes you, and not just washes over you, but it goes in. It's like you breathe it in, and it gets into every part of you, and you just become love. And so we brought these beautiful elders that have said yes to us, and we need to be open to receive this, because even to receive that kind of love is not something that in the conventional world we are open to. So how do we do that? And again, if everybody can mute themselves so we have less background noises, that would be helpful. Thank you. And so one of our elders, late grandmother Rita Blumenstein, our Yupik elder, collected these guidelines for these circles that she found in nearly every indigenous culture that she's worked with. They exist in different forms, but they have the same shared guidelines. We've taken those guidelines. We are not doing the confidentiality that usually happens in these circles because we're broadcasting. But everything else, we're going to ask you all to help us hold. And I will read these guidelines with your permission. So the first thing is really the circle does the talking, not us. It's not about me bringing my voice forward. It's about the circle, sometimes speaking through me, sometimes through Diana, through Iya, through Puna, through Suzanne, through Kat, through each one of us. But the actions that we all are doing, holding, is deep listening, as deep as the womb. And the second thing that we're asking is to respect ourselves, our other selves, time and attention. So not to go into very long descriptions or questions, but to bring the words as they are ripe, and also to have respect for selves and for other selves in this circle and beyond it. So no mentioning of people that we haven't gotten permission to mention, and no mentioning in a non-positive way. Then the way we listen. We are asking you to go back to listening like a child, hearing something for the first time. Try and think of the first time you ever heard there's such a thing as platypus, or unicorn, or pyramids, okay? That kind of innocence that you're not busy with, is it true, is it not true? You're just fascinated with the very notion of what you're hearing. So even if you're usually a deer and now the lioness is talking about a chase, you can find in your inner child the lioness and listen from that place. Listen without agendas, without titles, without marketing or advising or planning what you're going to answer or what your thoughts are on what you're hearing, but really just being open to receive without judgment whatever is coming. A bit like a potluck. I don't have to push away out of the table your pasta for my salad. They can both stand there, and people are free to choose what to take with their unique plate and palate. Truth. We only speak of what we know through our own lived experiences, which are very different. We could both be in the same situation and experience it differently. Your truth can be 180-degree opposite to mine, but just as valid. And expand, like the womb teaches us to do. Expand, even if it's not so comfortable at the beginning, to contain an other self and other truth. And if we embrace that discomfort for a bit, through that we can create something that didn't exist before. For the elders say, when women come together in true sisterhood, great healing can begin, and even a new future can be birthed. So thank you all for helping us doing that. And now we are going into the I've been talking about it. Now we're going to start actually doing the thing and experiencing it. And so I'm asking once again everybody who is not a speaker to mute yourself. And Auntie Puna, if you can take us in with a prayer. Thank you.
Mahalo, aloha. I'm very honored to be in the presence of all of you. I want to say, in my language and in my understanding of life as we know it, this only speaks about the waves of mankind that continues to be. Ano ai ko kako, ano ai ko kako mea o ki pala e. Amen, mea hano hano. Ke ho o hiwa hiwa ia nei makola e. E hui pu hui ka vai vai. O ko kako mau kupuna hala e ai. Yahi I pu uia kako I kalo kahi. Kanalu imia kako, mai kahiki mahela e. Me ke aloha no kako apau. Kanalu imia kako, mai kahiki mahela e. Me ke aloha no kako apau. So we say, as waves and continued waves of life that wash over us, we become a part of that flow. I want to bring to this circle, to this center, the reminder of the first moment of who we are. And that is that conception, that light that belongs to only you, to each of us. Conception in the womb. So when we say we are of the light, or when we wish each other, may we have love and light. This is that special light that shines from each one of us. Me ke aloha, yakako apau, the light that never goes out. Aloha.
Aloha, mahalo, Auntie. Thank you so much for bringing us to that initial moment. And Diana, can you please take us into the womb with your meditation?
I'd like to bring the candle out and invite anyone that has a candle to bring it out. And I'll wait a moment for you to find it. And ask Liberty to change the focus there so we can see the light. And I'd like to bring, Liberty, can you bring me up as well?
I can spotlight you, but we won't see everyone else.
Oh, okay. Or you can, okay, whatever. I just want to bring focus to the light for a moment so that it's in the center. I'd like to demonstrate what Auntie Puna was talking about. We are the moment of conception, the moment of light, your light to my light to yours. Let's light each other's flame in this moment, in the knowing of the womb. And I will place my candle down and invite us all to either keep it or not, and close our eyes and begin to connect with our breath, and put one hand on our heart and one hand on our womb, be it your flesh and blood womb or your etheric womb. If your womb has been removed surgically, it's still energetically there. And connecting to the womb of the Mother Earth, and connecting to the womb of our own mother. We all came from there, feeling the pulse of our mother's womb, of our grandmother's womb, of our great-grandmother's womb, and the chain of generations behind us of wombs that gave birth to life, that gave birth to life, gave birth to life, gave birth to us. And as we are connected to the wombs in our bloodline and to the womb of the earth, take a moment to imagine, to feel, to light the flame in your own womb of humanity, as if the whole of the human race is one embryo and it is inside of our womb. For we are one embryo waiting to be born out of the chaos that is rampaging now all over the world. We are pregnant with life. We are bringing the possibility forth through our womb, because in the womb there is no separation. In the womb we are one, as we are now inside of Mother Earth's womb, connected with the wombs of our ancestors and carrying in our own womb the embryo of humanity, and feeling that flame in our womb, radiating warmth, radiating connection, radiating compassion from our womb all around us. And within our womb, within the embryo that contains all human life, there are people who are compassionate and there are people who are afraid. There are those who are wounded. There are those who are suffering. There are those who, out of fear, are aggressive to others. And they're all part of this one embryo, this one strand of life, and our compassionate womb can contain them and love them back into the compassionate whole. Let's take a moment to feel the tapestry of humanity in our own womb. And bringing into our own wombs, into the compassionate womb. For in the womb there is only compassion and connection and containing and nurturing. Bringing into the compassion of our womb those world leaders who are aggressively afraid. Bringing into our own womb the little child that they were, the wounded child inside of the leaders of Israel and Palestine, of African warring countries, the wounded children inside of the leader of the Russian people, Vladimir Putin, for he was a child once and he brings a wound out, and we can go back to him as a baby in his mother's womb, as a child wounded, and hold him in the mercy of the womb, the container of the womb. Love him up until his inner child is no longer afraid, until the wound is healed through love. And bringing into our wombs and into our hearts those people around the world, in the Middle East, in Africa, in Europe, in the Americas, in the Australias, that are suffering, that are displaced, that are hungry, that are seeking shelter, to see the bounty of the earth shared freely and equally to all, to see our wombs united, to see our sisters and brothers coexist, seeing us sharing abundance, offering gifts to each other of our hearts and our wombs. Inviting all of our ancestors to be part of this vision, knowing we are pregnant with possibilities, and the possibilities we're pregnant with are about to be born, are about to bring flames of vision into life, the vision of being able to live from the womb with womb consciousness in compassionate coexistence around the world. And taking a moment here to also put the earth herself in the center of our vision, in the center of our flames of love, raying from our womb and our hearts, love to our mother, the mother of us all. And beginning to return in our consciousness into this moment with our hand and heart still, feeling the womb and the flame, with our eyes still closed, but beginning to return into consciousness of this moment, into our body, into the surrounding of the room where we each are at. Remembering we are connected by a web around the globe, and what we are birthing is about to take flight. If you so desire, you can bring your hands back into your lap or keep them where they are if you wish, while your eyes are still closed, envisioning the screen with all of the faces of people around the world that are connected with us and those who are not on the screen, in the web with us. Let your toes wiggle, let your fingers wiggle, let yourself stretch and bring yourself more into this moment until when you are fully here in your body, in this moment, allow your eyes to gently open. Welcome back. The flame never goes out, and so it is.
Oh, toda raba, Diana. Thank you. May it be so. May it be so. And now we will hear from the elders, whatever their womb and their heart tell them to share with us. Iya, can we start with you?
Gratitude to us for being here, and gratitude to Diana for setting us into the womb. And as you were speaking, I felt that we was in the womb of Mother Earth, that all of us is circling that womb of Mother Earth and embodying her inside of us and feeling that energy as it moves through us. And I wanted to take us continuously with this thread and being the guardian and the energy of Yemaya. I felt that I wanted to take us deeper into the umbilical fluid of the earth, the ocean mother. And I want to do that in the Yoruba language. And so I'm going to do this in a Yoruba language. Yemaya suasu Yemaya Yemaya suasu Yemaya, gushing mother of the womb, Yemaya. When I was a little girl, I would sit with you laying on my belly, looking through these waters and the spring that sat below. I was 4 years old. I would come to you, Mama, and I felt you even then in this connection. I looked into your mirror and you invited me in, Mother Yemaya. Yemaya soku tarivo awiwo se iwami obe Yemaya Yemaya. I say su, Yemaya, Yemaya, you're the mother of us all, Yemaya, Yemaya. You might want to put your hand on your belly and feel her moving there as we chant these songs, say Yemaya. Ago Yemaya. Agoyemaya, Agoyema, Yemaya, who make up the way for us to come through. Yemaya, Yemaya. Feel yourself gushing through these waters as you connect again with that sacred primordial way of being mother. And knowing that we are the primordial, we hold this primordial energy to begin again and again. Feel Yemaya as she move in there. Ago Yemaya, Ago Yemaya, Baoromi, Bara Agoya, goyemaya, yemaya. Allow that ocean water to come through and feel it as it moves through our womb, allowing it to cleanse whatever is stuck there in the womb. And imagine that this water is moving into our land today around the world. And we are helping in finding the ways for a new humanity to be born on this earth. Yeah, Maya, yeah, Maya. I say so, I say so. Yeah, Maya, yeah, Maya, yeah, Maya. I say so, yeah, Maya, yeah, Maya, yeah, Maya. Alado, alado, alado. Yemaya, mother, primordial mother, mother who give birth to all. Thank you for this gathering of all our wombs around this circle. Hear our prayers. Yeah, accept our offerings today. Yemaya, Yemaya, guide us as we heal this inner womb and we extend that outer inner womb into the outer wombs to be healed. Thank you, Mother. Ashe, Asheo, Ashe, Asheo.
Ashe, thank you, Iya. That was so beautiful. And it made me think of the sacred water that our womb creates that are not there before we are conceived. And as Auntie Puna was taking us to the moment of conception, and now Iya brought the quality of water in Yemaya. And I'm thinking of the water that announced each and every one of us before we came into this world. Our mother's water broke and we were announced by those holy water. And yeah, thank heavens for the water. And thank you, Iya, for bringing them. In Hebrew, water is them. So bringing the water here. Thank you. And Auntie Puna, can you take us to your heart and womb, please?
I'm not seeing Puna.
Really? We lost Auntie Puna. Suzanne, would you like to take us to your wisdom, or would you like Diana to share first?
Diana, share first.
So Diana, can you share, and I'll check about Auntie Puna while you share your wisdom with us.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Ia. Thank you for the waters, Maim, that are surrounding us and are flowing from us. I want to speak of our wombs as the place where we shed blood for life. This is the only blood that is shed not from a wound, not for death, not for anything else but to give life. The wise wound it is known as, but it's not a wound. It's a fountain. It's a fountain of life, of creativity, of guidance, of wisdom. And it is important for us to remember that there is a way to bleed for life, not for death. And when we think of the blood that is shed now in so many places around the world, to shift that consciousness from blood that is shed from an intention to harm to blood that is shed from the intention of being able to bring life forth, being able to birth creativity and ideas and visions into the world. We are coming together because our intentions matter. The intentions of our heart, the intentions of our womb matter. And I believe that in this time of chaos and confusion, and conflicts around the world. It doesn't matter about sides. It doesn't matter about beliefs or politics or stands for this or that. There is only one thing that matters that I can see, which is whether we stand for unity or for separation. And that's true of any conflict anywhere in the world. In the Middle East, in Africa, in Russia, in Ukraine, anywhere where there are people tearing apart from each other, our vision and our remedy and our healing balm is bringing unity, because that's the only thing that is going to remedy the rift, not the belief of right and wrong. There is right and wrong in the eyes of the beholder, but there is unity in the eye of the divine that sees us, and we are in it one, in the great mystery. And the womb is a place of oneness, of unity. There's no separation in the womb. There's no division in the womb. When we were in our mother's wombs, we shared one blood. We shared one life force. We shared one breath. There is no separation in the womb. And the womb is teaching us how to act in the world outside of it, in the way that the climate of the womb and in the womb is of no separation, of complete oneness, complete containment, complete unity. And that's what we can bring. There is more and more research coming that the violence around the world significantly decreases when people meditate, when people get together virtually or physically and project their intention for peace, for their intentions for unity, their intention for coexistence. And that's what we're doing. And I believe to my core that it matters. What we do matters. And the more we continue to do this together, virtually or in the sanctuary of our own heart and womb, whenever during our day we remember with a breath, whenever we read or hear news that are disturbing, that we can breathe and remember that we can bring unity, that we have the vision of unity instead of the vision of fear. Because when we see those images or read those words and are afraid or are anxious, we contribute to separation. If we breathe and we remember the womb and we remember our unity and remember that unity is possible, we contribute to coexistence. May it be so, and so it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Diana. Auntie Puna told me she was going to have to leave earlier than we planned, but this is even earlier, so I guess technology is doing its thing. If she comes, I'm asking Liberty to let us know so we can make way for her. Suzanne, would you like me to share, or would you like to share now? You're muted. We can hear you.
Okay, I'll be glad to go if you want me to.
Yes, please.
Well, I really appreciate what was just said. I think the whole thing was like a prayer. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you very well.
Oh, okay. So I think I'm just adding to what was already said in perhaps a little bit different way. But my thing that has come to me that I have to share, I have to talk about, no matter what the feedback is, and that is forgiveness. We do not forgive. we judge. And the reason we judge is so we can be separate. We can be better. We're better than you. That's why I can judge you. That's how it comes into our minds. Because we're so upset with what is going on. And that comes from forgiveness. And when I talk to people about this, they become quite hostile. And I say, thank you for elucidating what I'm talking about. Is judgment is really a gift to yourself. It's not about pointing your finger to anybody else. I don't care if it's Putin. I don't care who it is. When we point that finger to someone else, we're not forgiving, we're judging. And how much do we know about anyone that we judge? So how long do you want to keep a grievance? If you want to hang on to judgment, you'll have to hang on to a grievance. And maybe you better pin up the grievance to make sure you don't forget it. But that's what it is, a grievance. And as you mentioned, we know what's going on in the world. And all this killing can't go on before there's no one left. Maybe a few animals. But our forgiveness is what our problem is. Because we want to be special. We want to be the ones who know. We are the ones that are going to decide for who and what. And then the more people that are killed by the ones we're cheering for, the more, yay, yay, good, get them, get them. And if someone ever filmed us, they'd wonder what kind of beings are them that are cheering someone else who's killing someone. And then we have all our reasons for it. They're this and they're that, and they're this and they're that. Here comes our judgment. They're this and that, and this and that, and this and that. How do you know? Can you even judge everything of why you pick up the phone to phone someone? Can you? We do so many things automatically without thinking, why are we doing this? And so what's the structure of judging? And the first thing is separation. And I just want to tell you that I still think of, as all you were talking today, I'm still thinking about my mother, that she, I think I've said this before in here, that she practically died when she had my brother. And the American Medical Association said, don't ever be pregnant again because you will probably die. And her whole trauma was written up in the American Medical Association. So I asked my mother one day, Mom, why did you have me when you could almost die? And this is the only thing I have to say around what I'm going to say here today. As she said, Suzanne, love is stronger than fear. I've never forgotten that. That's the gift she gave to me. Love is stronger than fear. And so the biggest thing we have to look at is why do we have to make ourselves separate? Why do we have to say, I'm better than you? Kill him, kill all those people, get rid of Putin, smash him. Oh my God. Oh. And I think, what is it that we judge? Why didn't my mother say, oh, I don't know, I just got pregnant again and hope for the best? She didn't say that. She gave me my guide for my life. And I've had enough things. I've lived in the hospital for the past 5 years, getting this out and that out and this out and that. Well, I didn't know what's going on. But I knew I could hear my mother say, love is stronger than fear. Don't fear what's happening to you ever, ever. And that's where I learned forgiveness. Because the whole process of judgment is to try to be special. That I'm more thoughtful than you are. I'm ahead of you. But you're ahead with judgment, not with forgiveness. And so when people ask me, oh, do you forgive Putin? I said, of course. Oh my God, what's wrong with you? And I said, everything. Everything. That's why I forgive him. I'm probably out of my mind. That's great. If my mind is safe, forgive everyone. Everyone. Because I'm forgiving myself. I'm the one that has passed the judgment, but I want it to be you. I want it to be you're the one that's the problem, and you're the one with the problem. We've got to get rid of you and you and you and you. And I've stuck with my grievance. Oh, isn't it wonderful to go to bed at night with your grievance and to get up in the morning and have to remember your grievance? And I tell people, well, put it on when you lift the lid up to the toilet, so it says grievance. So what is the way around grievance? Is first of all to say, I am contributing to the mess in the world today. Because I am not going to forgive such an a-hole as Putin. And when someone says that, I say, you know, I'm going to lose it. But when I watch the news, and I watch the news so I see what we do and hear what we do. And every time I see Putin's face, I cry. I cry for him. He knows not what he does. Do you and I know what we do when we gossip against someone, when we judge someone else? Do we really know what we do? I'm better than him. I'm way better than him. I wouldn't do such a thing. Do. Well, the whole thing you're doing is, then why are you condemning? Why are you condemning if you're better? And that's where I look at where we come from. What do we call reality? I watch the news. My friend doesn't watch the news, says, I don't want anything to do with watching it. Well, fine, go ahead. I want to watch it so I can understand myself, because I'm part of the whole of the species. I'm not better than anyone else. No one. I want to care. I want to love people, no matter what they're doing. And I found out that when I set someone down who was just angry as all get out, and I say, come on in, sit down. So we sit down. Then I say, tell me what's up. Well, I get a litany. You know, set aside 10 minutes because it was on and on and on and on. And I'm listening. And when they're finished, I say, where does love come in? And they practically shout at me, love. The face gets all screwed up and everything, and that's supposed to be love. I said, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of that I want to make sure I hold on to a grievance? Because I'm not going to forgive you. So I hold on to my grievance. Oh, no, don't touch my grievance. No, don't touch my grievance. And then I think of my mother when she said, love is stronger than fear. And she said it again a different way. She said, love is greater than fear. And many times when I was little, I would ask my mother, what was that? How did you say that to me? And she'd say, what? And I'd say, something about love. And she'd say it again. And that's what I look at today. I have a hard time not crying even now, because when I see the mothers running, the children running, the dying, the kid carrying a little squirrel in a bottle, because that was his love. When I look at that, I say, where are we? Where are we? Not just me, we. And when I look at that, and when I hear you talking about the womb, I say to myself, God help the next one that comes out to come out with love greater than fear. So if one day someone says, well, what do you think of that a-hole Putin? He's causing this. I said, he is not causing it. We are causing this because we're hanging on to judgment. We are hanging on to judgment. It's our war. Now, who would like, you guys can turn off the whole set if you want to. If you don't like what I'm saying, that's fine. But I've had to look at myself first. Am I contributing to this horror show that's going on around the world? And I don't have to watch the news and watch the killing and the bombing and all the rest of it. All I have to do is go downtown here in Canmore and, hang around outside the post office. And there's a war. War's going on. Oh, he's this and he's that and he's blah, blah, he's blah, blah. Did you hear about him? Do you like him? He's terrible. Blah, blah. And I stand there and occasionally I hear a loving thought. But that's where I get my daily lesson. Suzanne, no better than that. You're no better than anyone else. Stop holding grievances. Stop it. Hold forgiveness. Because Suzanne, you have to forgive yourself too, You're hanging on to judgment about everybody else. Do I know about any of the rest of you to make a judgment? No. Do I know all about Putin? Of course not. So why are you judging? You're just judging what you see him doing. And then I say to myself, now let's see, if we're better than the rest of the people, how come we go out and kill animals like crazy? Oh, get those deer out of here. They're in my yard. Come on, kill them. I don't want them around here. Oh, and let's cut down more trees and have more big behemoth houses because, we don't need those trees. Why do we do things we want to do? When someone sits down with us and says, let's discuss this, let's find out. And there's a lot more to this, but I just want to end it at that for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. You say, what if we don't like what you say? And I want to ask you, what if we do? What if we love what you say? Are you ready for that?
Yes. And
Okay.
that means you're ready to go out and say, I want to be part of love. I want to be part of loving people. And when my mother said love is stronger than fear, doesn't that say something to you? What is the structure of our fear? What is it? But when I think of love and how big and huge that is, I have go by the feeling inside is, whew, that's a beautiful word. But when I hear hate, there's something in me that just crawls.
Thank you. Your words make me think of when I gave birth. And before I gave birth, everyone was talking to me about the fear and the horrible pain and the fear and the possibility of death. And I went in thinking that's what I was going to feel. But then the pain started, and as Diana was talking about the blood, the blood that we have that comes out of us without being wounded. Think for a minute. Most people here are women, except for some brave men. Hi, Milt. Um, but most of us are women, and we know about blood that can come out of the body without a wound. But how much of humanity shares that knowing, not from the mind, not a knowledge, but a knowing? Adam knew Eve and she was pregnant. So a knowing is something in Hebrew, yedi'ah, is physical, as deep as the womb. How many of us know, as deep as the womb, the feeling of blood that can come out of our body without a wound? We are a minority. Kids don't know it, and men don't know it, and some women.
Wow.
And we owe it not only to ourselves, but to the world. When my contraction started and the pain started, and it was a pain like my period pain at the beginning, and that pain that I became a friend. I was going into an unknown, and all of a sudden, I know this pain. And that pain became a friend, and I was like, this is nuts. And I fell in love with it. The pain that I hated my whole life became such an anchor, and I loved it. And as the pain grew, and I realized this could mean death, but then I was like, so I could die. There's nothing I can do about it. I am totally surrendering to this, because even if I take painkillers, it's not gonna really, wipe out erase the pain. I'm just not gonna feel it. But my body's saying something big is happening, and we're on the verge of death. Let's stay with our eyes open, because like bungee jumping, am I going to spend the whole time just, oh God, what have I done? I don't want this. Or am I going to open up my eyes and feel like I'm flying? Even if I crash at the end, there's a way to go until we crash. And then instead of crashing, my other self came out of me. And there was so much life in me. It came out of me. And that was the first time I realized pain does not have to be connected to suffering. It's our mind that does that. It's our mind that tells us, oh, we're going to suffer. It's going to be horrible. And that's where the fear comes. But once we can release it, and again, how many of us know pain that ends in life, in a life that wasn't there before? We know things that most of humanity doesn't know or has forgotten. And I am begging all of you women to really tap into your womb and bring out that wisdom, because people will understand. Surprisingly, even the ones who don't carry a womb, they've been in a womb. So when we talk about these things, they know what we're talking about in a way. Yeah, I think maybe that would be a good place to wrap it up for now and go into Q&A. So Kat, you have been collecting questions, and maybe you can bring some, and I encourage everybody to, if you have anything that is coming to you that you would like to ask or share, put it in the chat box, and Kat, our dear friend, will harvest it. Are there any questions so far? Kat, are you with us? I think maybe we lost Kat.
I'm here.
Here.
It appears that most are in awe of the wisdom that the grandmothers are sharing. We're waiting for any questions. If you have them to ask, would be now a good time. the way to save the chat is the 3 dots on the lower right-hand side. You just click those dots and then you can save it as a .txt file. So here we go. In my work with women, I've been asked by my apprentices ways to connect shamanically with becoming a mother. 3 apprentices are pregnant. So any guidance regarding connecting with them, with the pregnant apprentices?
Yeah, Suzanne.
What?
There was a question about how to connect with pregnancy. If
Yeah. Yeah.
I
How to
was just going
connect.
to state the question again.
There's a greater power. There's a greater power that operates in the universe. And you can decide what you want. You can decide if you give it all your thoughts, fear, love, joy, hatred. If you give all your thoughts to the one who created us, I don't care what name you give it, but there was one that created us. And when you give that over, whatever that is, fear, joy, tears, laughter, and ask for help. I do that so often, it's ridiculous. And every time I ask for help, some people call it God, some people don't like that term, whatever, it's what we're really made from. And when we hand it over, and that's a term we use here, is when someone's getting on their high horse about something and is almost in tears, we say, hand it over. Hand it over. And they're like, what do you mean hand it over? Hand it over to the greatness that you are, that knows. Not the brain that read something in the paper or heard something on the news. Yeah, that's fine. But file it away. And when you ask for help, I do that so much in my life. Oof. I just say, Holy Spirit, and Holy Spirit means wholeness. Your whole spirit. That's what holy means. So I say, Holy Spirit, I'm a mess. I'm crying. I'm upset. I don't know what to do with this. Straighten me out. Straighten out my mind. And then I hear the voice say, okay, Suzanne, calm down and let me talk with you. And every person I've ever said that to, even the biggest atheist, have said, Suzanne, it works.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, maybe you can give us, the question was how to connect with pregnancy, how to connect with becoming a mother.
Thank you for that question. One of the things I learned is that much of our trauma is received in the womb. I'll say that again, much of trauma is received in the womb. And I learned that by traveling back to my own birth. And I think it's really that life began at the conceptional stage of, whether we invited it or it came, a lot of people say, well, I got pregnant by accident. I don't think that there are no accidents in pregnant. I think there's a life that's asking to come to this world. And if we are aware of that kind of guidance in our culture, we can avoid much of the trauma that we're experiencing today. So I'm offering this as a going forward in nurturing the seeds that are asking to come onto the earth today. That we, the elders, and we, the community, have the capacity, if we just listen, to bring forth a new order on this planet through this birthing process, to understand that life comes to the earth with purpose. It asks to come to the earth. And we don't have this language where we understand the ancient texts of where life we all to earth in an agreement. And if there's no hoop to receive us when we come onto the planet, this agreement gets lost and gets caught into a dysfunctionality. And we could say that was a mistake, but we have come through that. And we, the elders who stand at this threshold today, are called to remember what that was and to bring it forth in our time for this new generation emerging. And so in giving that, teaching our mothers how to form that relationship with the baby, form that relationship with that seed and nurture it is in the womb, nurture to sing to wherever, go sit in nature, talk to it, ask who's coming, and it will inform you who's coming. What gift are you bringing? It will inform you if we're listening. If there are elders in our community, they can help us to understand by ceremonial and setting us in that healing circle and having us talk to that new seed that's evolving inside. Inquire, who are you? What gift do you bring? And then we know what to nurture. My mother used to always say, when I know what's happening on this side, I know what to pray for. I didn't understand when she said it. If I go and I see, I know what I need to come back and pray for. So now we know what to hold in sacred ceremony. We know what to hold in bringing forth new life. And so I would offer that for us to become mindful. And if we don't know, let's go study and ask. Ask the elders who you think might know. How do we bring life forth in a good way? And that's my offering, that we learn the ways of our ancestors, ancient ancestors, not the wounded ones. Go back. Be willing to go home to your ancient ancestors. They need quiet. Thank you.
Thank you. I love how Suzanne's answer was to surrender to something bigger than ourselves, which to me really brought me back to when I was in an embryo or a fetus in my mother's big womb. And when Iya says, go to your ancestors, but also go into yourself. And as Suzanne was telling us before, and as the womb teaches us, nothing is created outside till it's created inside first. So if we want peace, if we want forgiveness, we got to create it inwards. And then that's what we're going to project. If we have anger all around us, it's probably starting within, as Suzanne reminded us. So thank you for those reminders. Diana, I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on motherhood and pregnancy and how to connect to that sense.
I'm thinking of an acorn, and every acorn has a different oak tree inside of it. And when we are pregnant, our baby is all possibilities. Everything. Our baby can be born to grow to become a humanitarian. Our baby can be born to become a dictator. It can become a Mother Teresa, or it can become Vladimir Putin. And each of them is a human being. And I'd say what I would want to know when I'm expecting, if I knew that when I was expecting, is to accept any and all possibilities and to welcome and embrace whoever comes. Because whoever comes, my lesson, our lesson as expecting mothers is to be open to anything, and to accept anyone that comes with a bow to their spirit, to their being, to their gifts, which we don't know, and to accept them before we know, to accept them and love them before we have any knowing of who they become, and to know that that's enough, that whoever they are is good enough, and whoever we are is good enough. As mothers, this is a big lesson, that we are good enough exactly the way we are as mothers, as human beings.
Thank you, Diana. I really feel that you are telling, maybe it's my ears, but that you're telling us that the non-judgment begins even when we're expecting. Again, it begins so deep in us. And since our kids are our other selves, I mean, they were once us, right? They walked where we walked, they ate what we ate. All of a sudden, they have their own wishes and their own personality, and we're losing control, which we never actually had. But we had the illusion of control. So thank you for all these great reminders. And there was another question about how to transform anger and resentment and hate into forgiveness and love and unconditional acceptance. I want to bring something for my answer for this, but please, if one of you has an answer, please.
Deanna, were you about to go?
No, I was answering someone who sent me a private message, but I
Okay, sorry. I wanted to, in working with many things that come, because it's much of what the work that I find myself doing in this community, because there's so much anger. And one of the things there are a couple of things that I think people need to be encouraged to grieve certain things in life. This embody, because we take on the guilt. We take it on as if it's ours. But in ceremonial work, I found that in bringing us to ceremonial work and allowing us to create that container for grief and forgiveness, a safetyness for people to grieve that wound that's deep inside of them, and being willing to hold that and guide them through that wounded place. Because it's very fearful. We carry it on because we don't know how to we don't know how to release. We don't know how to release the woundedness that we have from our parents and from our community. We own it as if it belongs to us. I wrote it's like we wrap ourselves up in it, sometimes like a warm blanket. It becomes a companion to many of the people. And it's difficult to take and let go of that companion. But I would offer that we create the proper container for bringing those people forward, or bringing the individual forward, create safetyness and allow them and guide them through that way of shedding and forgiveness. And it's not an overnight solution. It means an agreement we make with ourselves. And I love what Suzanne said, because when forgiveness, really, if we can acknowledge, I'm forgiving myself, because I'm holding this. I'm holding that I don't like you. And if you show up, if it's an individual show up, they're mirroring something that I don't like inside of myself. So to bring us home to self takes coming in and guiding our people's inward, our individual people inward, those who come to us, and creating that safe ceremonial space and teaching individuals how to create that for themselves. Be willing to grieve, be willing to go inside of that womb and know that it's not an overnight. It's okay. It's okay to feel this. It's okay to feel your pain. It's okay to feel that grief. And we can let go of that because it doesn't belong to me. Be willing to give it back to the person there. Our mothers and our fathers' struggles are not ours. They walk in their own footprints, and we walk in ours. So that would be my offering. Thank you.
Thank you, Ia. Suzanne,
But
how do you transmute from anger or resentment or negative feelings? How do you get to forgiveness?
well,
What's the process?
the first thing I have to learn is that it's not the other person. I help the other person stay by holding it in myself that you're. So when I don't forgive, I'm beaming what I don't even know, but I pretend I do. I'm still beaming that, you're an a-hole, blah, blah, blah. So that's an energy field. That's an energy field that's in here, that's in this thing here, if it's working. But that's where I go in there and say, Suzanne, what do you know about so-and-so's life? What do you really know? All you know is what he's saying to you over the phone. Bam, 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 bam. And you're getting more hostile inside because you don't want to hear this. And then I think, oh, Suzanne, give it over. Give him forgiveness. Beam forgiveness. If he's got a beam that can get into me and make me pissed off, I got a same beam that can block that and send a good message back to him. And I have to say that some of the people that I have done that to, that have come back through time or whatever, has said to me, Suzanne, what did you do to me that made me change my mind? I said, oh, secret. And they come on, Suzanne. And I said, well, it's a dog. It's a dog. And everyone has a dog. Yeah. And they said, what do you mean a dog? I said, spell it backwards. For the people that don't like to hear the word G-O-D, call them a dog. I've got a wonderful dog that understands everything and shows me the way. So believe you me, God is not upset about any of that stuff whatsoever. He's way beyond that. She, it, whatever. And it makes your own life. That's what is interesting to me. When we hold grievances, we have to keep a list in our pocket. So when you meet someone on the street, you haul it out and look at it and say, LLC, am I supposed to be? Oh yeah, I'm supposed to be that. Oh yeah, he's and they put it back in your pocket. Be sure and upgrade it. When you get more people you can't stand, be sure and upgrade it. So you look at it and say, Suzanne, do you really want to hold grudges when there's so much more? It's like you're talking about the growth in the womb is waiting to come out and say, wow. And when they come out, do you say to them, wow? Or do you say, oh dear, oh dear? And that's what my mother said. When I said, how did you live with that fear that you might die? Oh, she said, I forgot it. I forgot I was supposed to think about that. And I said, Mom, are you really telling the truth? She said, yes. She said, I was so happy. I've got a boy and now I've got a girl. And this is going to be so much fun. And of course, and she was always tugging me back from my dad because my dad wanted to hold me. And so they had to work it out. And that's the thing that we pass on. As you mothers, pass it on. Sit them down, whoever they are. Come on over for a cup of coffee or something. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this fiasco going on in the world. Oh, really? Yes. That's what I found out. Let's go and have a discussion. Who's deciding who about who? Well, what happens when you forgive then? When you forgive, there's an energy that comes out of you. When you truly forgive, and I'm forgiving myself, I'm holding Putin, excuse me. I'm holding Putin as a, what's the word I want? jailed him. Like he's the cause of this. He. Yeah, it turns out to be he is look at what you're doing, Suzanne. You're the one that's keeping a person there. So for each one of us that opens up to each other and say, I don't need to judge him like this. That man to me is, I cry every time I see it because I know he's lost inside. He's lost inside. Don't we always get lost sometime inside? And isn't it amazing when a friend comes along and takes your hand and says, Suzanne, let's talk about this. And I know that man is suffering. He's a human being. He's suffering. But he thinks he has to keep up a show. And don't you and I sometimes do that, keep up a show when we rather say, can I talk with you? Does that make any sense?
A lot of sense, actually. You took me to a little story that I had with my kids when they were 1-year-old and 4-year-old, and I was trying to make vegan pancakes for a friend of mine. And I can hardly cook, and vegan food, oh God. But I was trying my best, and they were playing together very nicely, and I was burning an entire pan, and I took another one, and I burnt that one as well. And it was like 40 minutes of me really, really trying, and they're beautifully playing. And the moment I was like, okay, I'm gonna add an egg, I cannot do vegan. The moment I broke the egg, the harmony between them broke as well, and they started fighting. And I just, all the rage that I had about this food that I can't make, I took out on my big one, because, you know, she's the older one, and come on, can't you play with your sister? Can't you give me a minute? Can't you see that I'm doing something for once? You know, I just poured it on her, and I was like, okay, I gotta breathe. Poor little 4-year-old, like, this is not about her, just breathe. And I went to the pancakes, and I was still dealing with it and flipping it, and then I was still so angry. She was, but Mom, we are just, and I'm like, no, you gotta give me a minute for myself, you know. And then I was like, oh God, what am I doing? But I couldn't relax. So eventually I opened the windows, and the steam came out, and the steam came out, and I could relax. And I was like, I gotta apologize, because this poor little girl, that's not about her. And I turned around, and she was already coming to me with tears and saying, Mom, I'm sorry, and hugging me. And I hugged her, and I said, I'm sorry too. And she said, Mom, why were you angry? And I said, because, you know, I was trying to do this, and your noise, and you're not getting along, and then I can't be at two places. And she said, no, Mom, why were you really angry? And then I paused, and I realized I've been telling her whole life, you know, whenever we're angry, we think it's about them, but it's actually about us. So whenever you're angry, ask yourself, why am I angry at myself? So when she was asking me, what are you really angry about? Why were you angry at yourself? I went in and I told her, I just felt like a failure. You know, I couldn't make food, and I couldn't be with you. And then I was angry at you, and I got angry at myself for being angry at you. And it just all, and she looked at me and she said, Mom, it's okay to make a mistake. It's important to correct them, but it's okay to make mistakes. And I just cried. I was like,
that is so perfect. That is so perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. That's beautiful.
And Maya Angelou says, you know, anger is not hatred. Anger is a feeling that we have, and it's very creative. You know how people get angry and they start having these idioms and say things in a very creative way. She says, march it, paint it, dance it, sing it. And what I've done, going back to water, as Ia first started taking us to, is I've done this experiment. Now I'm doing it again here. I've taken a yam, and with one we've made this, you don't see it, but it's like, it's a smiley face, and it says good words like, thank you, harmonious, inspiring, compassionate, and you can see how it's beautiful. And the other one we put angry face and angry words like powerless, miserable, disappointed, harmful, angry, useless, worthless, annoying. And you can see the blackness on it, because one day I was really angry and obviously at myself, but then I went to pour it on the yam. And they started, I have pictures I can show you afterwards, whoever is interested in an email or something. And it started out the same. The only thing is the words around and the words that we tell it. And you can see how this yam, and now you think of a heart, you know, 70% of our body is water. Water carries energy. You can see what it did to the yam, as opposed to this one, was already starting to have roots. And just see what your words are doing to the other people. Here you can see how it's growing. So
And Yael, the question that goes with what you've just said is, how do we undo the harm that we do, that our daughters already carry?
so as my girl was teaching me, first of all, as Suzanne says, have a discussion. First of all, say it, admit it. You cannot heal a wound that you don't even recognize is there. It's gonna keep, you know, getting worse and worse. And the other thing, when I did this in Israel, before the yam reached the black stage, it was just getting out a tiny little black, brown, really miserable root. And the other one had a whole beard, like white, beautiful beard. And then this yoga teacher that I showed it to told me, but look at the angry one. She didn't give up. She didn't give up. What will happen if we switch the energies? So we gathered all the kids and we made a beautiful drawing and beautiful words. And one of the children even kissed the jar that we were putting it on. And sure enough, it started growing white ones. And it wasn't as abundant as the other one, but it was very, very long. So that one has a really long beard. And it's in Israel, but yeah, you can. We can do that. We can switch the energies, and I think we are very, very close to the end. Diana, do you have any final words?
I'd like to say a couple of things really briefly to the question of how do we forgive and how do we stop resentment. So I don't know who I'm quoting, so forgive me whoever the quote comes from, but one of the best quotes I've heard about resentment is drinking poison and hoping the other person dies. You drink the poison and you hope the other person dies.
Great
So
example.
really, really
That's very
important
good.
for us to realize that resentment is poisoning us.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I would like to say is that we need to separate between, I think there is a confusion when we think of forgiveness, we think we are condoning the actions of the person. We're not. There is a difference between the behavior and the person. Yes, I forgive Putin because I think that he is a wounded child, and I do not accept either any one of his doings, of his actions. So when you forgive, we don't accept the actions. We can say exact the anger. We can dance and sculpt and sing our anger about the actions. But we forgive and accept the person, the spirit, the wounded child within that person who was not knowing any better and acted out of their own wounds.
Could I say something to that? Is there time enough?
Briefly.
Okay, I agree with what you're saying in part, but the other thing that I find is that the hardest part of forgiveness is forgiving yourself, but then asking God or the dog or whatever you want to call it, to asking, please help me. I give this all over. I give it over to you because I know you will make the difference of all of this. And I know that if we sent love and care and understanding, because we don't know the whole story at all, to Putin, he would change. He's no different than any of us when we get a vendetta. But when someone is praying for us, caring for us, it changes the whole scope
Yes.
of the war, everything, because it's like, oh my God, look what's happening. There's peace. Oh my God. Woo. So anyway,
Thank you.
thank you.
So I know some people, including Diana, have to leave right now. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a few minutes of silence to just put in the chat box whatever the people who've been listening want to offer, and silently read also whatever nurtures you. And whoever needs to leave will leave. And after these few minutes, Iya Tahira will give us the closing prayer. And I just want to take this moment to thank Suzanne Sweebold and Iya Tahira, our elders, and Diana Lam, our wise collaborator, sister, Red Tent, and Ket Haber, our sister, who's done the harvesting, and Liberty, who has done all of the amazing tech that has enabled this. And so now we're going to a few moments of silence, and thank you all for being with us and making us feel less alone in this
Thank
world.
you. I need to leave. Thank you and blessings to everyone.
Thank you. And Iya, can you please take us into a closing prayer?
Thank you. Now that we have heard from each person, we gather our minds, our hearts, and our spirit to gather these prayers and we place those prayers and all that we heard into our womb. And then we put them in the wombs of Mother Earth as well. And we hold this womb in a nurturing way. And know that envision that this womb is connected through all its branches. And imagine that we are this umbilical cord moving down through the earth like the roots of trees connected to other wombs and holding in place this prayer and this offering that we are brought forth. And that we in an agreement that we will continue to hold this sacred space for creation on this planet, a better earth, a more balanced earth. And we will remember the original agreement that we made as women to hold ourselves in this sacred way of nurturing Mother Earth and nurturing ourselves. We will remember how we met in the sacred groves and we offered our prayers at full moon time. We will remember how we came at new moon time and made intentions for the healing of our community. We will remember how we sat and weaved together the new way of being. We will remember how we went into our dark caves and we prayed for the forgiveness of humanity. We transmuted those things that were needed to be transmuted on planet Earth. We knew the way home, so we will remember and carry this prayer forward and continue to nurture this prayer in our communities and ourselves and our families and our homes. And with gratitude to all of us, thank you for being here in this sacred moment, in this sacred grove, in this sacred way of remembering who we are and what our original agreement was as mothers, grandmothers, peoples of the earth, and so it be. Ashe, ashe, oh. Thank you.
Ashe, toda rabba. Thank you very much, Iya. Thank you very much, Suzanne.
Thank you.
And I will put in the chat box our nurturing link, because our elders are giving their wisdom and we would very much like to nourish them back as they nourish us all. So if you want and can be the reciprocity you want to see in the world, I will dig it up and put it there. And we'll have a few more minutes here for whoever wants to unmute and express your gratitude, goodbyes, whatever you want to share briefly. And thank you all for making the time and being with us.
Thank you.
And much, much love.
Thank you for giving us a platform, because otherwise, if we're not invited, you can't hear us.
You're always invited, you know, just say, hey, I think I need to share something, and we'll make room for you.
Well, I think that the elders need to be invited. And when you guys invite us, I feel a blessing to be invited to make the offering. My God. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know how to say I want to talk. Anyway, this is Madeline. I just want to say thank you so much. I've learned a tremendous amount. I've experienced my own grieving during this and more hope. And I just love the words of wisdom. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Madeline.
I think I want to say, I hope you can hear.
We can hear.
I had shared in the chat, I was born in Kiev and grew up there and lived there till I was 20. And right now it is, for me, it's like last 2 weeks I've been living in understanding that I can lose a lot of people that I know in a very short time, including my entire family there. So I think when spending this time with you today helped me to come in peace with that. Even if it will, like, I don't know what's gonna happen. But I feel more peaceful now. Thank you.
Thank you, Lila.
When can we do this again?
Oh,
Next
good question. We're actually conspiring something next month. I still need to speak to the elders and see what their availability is. But we'll be in touch. So you can either through, I think you all have Diana's email because you registered through her email, but I'll also put my email there, and yeah, through our newsletters would probably be the best way.
I just want to say to Leela, that we hold you in our hearts,
Yes.
and understand the pain and fear and that you're going through. And so I just want to send my love to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I also wanted to share, there's a wonderful meditation called the Atisha meditation, where you breathe in the pain that you feel into your heart. And you open your heart to this pain, whether it be your own personal pain or the pain that you experience in the world. And then you breathe out love. The heart is an amazing transformer. And it grows and it runs towards love. So when we breathe in that pain, we are so able to transform it. It's the beauty of what our heart can do. So I wanted to share that.
Thank you.
Mm.
Also, if there are other questions that are rising from today or from, when you kind of process everything that was offered today, you can also send it in the emails that I just gave you or to Diana, and you can take it from there as best we can. So thank you all for your time. As humans, we only have one time. Each moment we can only be at one place. So thank you for being with us in this one place at this one time, out of all the infinite possibilities. Thank you for sinking in to that moment and to the heart and to the womb. A lot of gratitude. Toda raba.
And thank you to you. Thank you to you, Yael, for all the time you put in getting these things together.
Thank you, Elder. Okay.
How soon
I
will
wanted,
how soon will the YouTube be available?
Sorry, what did you ask, Ia?
How soon will the YouTube be available for others?
The YouTube is already available, actually. It's the link is here. I can put it in the chat box.
Okay, I just want to send it to some people who really wanted to be here, directly to them, and they couldn't be here. And some of them are your kindred, and I definitely want them to, your sister, Kindred Spare, I definitely want her to, she wanted to join you today, but she couldn't be here.
Okay, yay, bring them. Thank you. Okay.
Thank
So
you.
have a good day, everyone. Good night to those of you on the other side of the world, and many,
Afternoon.
many thanks. Afternoon.
Suzanne, you remind me of my auntie. If you saw my auntie, one of my living elders, you remind me of her. The only difference is you have a lighter skin than she have, but y'all got the teeth, the mouth, the haircut, the head, and everybody. I'm like, damn, she reminds me of Aunt Mary.
Would you send me a picture of her?
If I can, I don't even know if I have a picture of Aunt Mary. I'm gonna see if I can get one, because every time I see you, I said, oh, that's my other Auntie Mary.
Well, that's probably who I am.
But you got, I mean, the two of you, if you saw her and it's like y'all look like sisters, like twins.
We're twins.
Yeah, but I'm saying, yeah, and you got that gap in your teeth. I'm like, damn, every time you laugh, you remind me of Aunt Mary. I
And
don't
you
know
know what
if
that's,
it's fancy like
you
Aunt
know what
Mary.
that's from? You know what that's
What?
from?
But,
I have Negro blood.
well, that's okay.
No, well, yeah, but I'm saying this is so common in Negroes.
I know.
And I many times when I go downtown, wherever, even when I was in Oakland going for something, I was walking down the streets and these three Negro guys came running off their porch.
I
And
hadn't heard that word in so long.
they stopped me in the street and they say, "You're one of us." And I said, "Okay." And they said, "That's the club."
I'm so appreciative you said, yeah, you said that word. And I have not heard use of Negro in so long. I remember when we was having that conversation about what to call Black people. And those of us who was in the civil rights movement thought that Negro was appropriate because Negro is encompassing of the whole color of what we call Black.
Yeah,
And
well, I've never understood Black people. I've never understood Black people. Who's Black?
Right.
Black is on the back of my screen here. That's not.
But that's what somebody said. It's like, and there was a question I'm gonna say this. Said this person said, he said, "Oh, you're not white," and then the other person said, "Well, you're not Black." He said, "That's the point. You know, you're not white, and I'm not Black. So what are we?" It's like I was looking at this comedian, and it was back and forth, and they was doing this story. So anyway, thank you for that humor and using it.
But the thing is, what's interesting is that I used to tease Larry and I used to tease him. I said, "Larry, don't you know that white people spend all summer trying to get your color?
Right.
And all summer trying to get your beautiful color."
Thank you for sharing that. I love it.
Great, thank you. That's wonderful. Because I also have Native American Native blood too. So I'm just a bunch of bloods.
I claim them all. I'm an
Good.
I claim them all because I don't think anyway, we'll have this conversation because as an elder, I have some thoughts about that agreement too. So anyway,
I want to hear it. Next time we'll have a talk. Okay.
Yeah, we'll have that conversation later.
Okay, excellent.